Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Orange Bloods Alive. I am Anwar Richardson coming to you kind of in an impromptu, not planned kind of a stream tonight on a Tuesday night. This is got some breaking news that we need to discuss. Not the best kind of breaking news, unfortunately, but nonetheless, I felt the need to make sure I got in here, had a conversation with you guys as far as everything that's going on. And then we'll figure it out from there. So um, let's just kind of get into this thing. And good evening to everybody who is here in the chat. Unfortunately, the news that comes out this evening that I reported is that CJ Baxter, the running back from the University of Texas, sustained a knee injury at practice today. That knee injury is now is going to result in an MRI that needs to be done. As I record this, I say record this as we're live at 8:20 p.m. I don't know the results of that MRI. I don't know what has happened as results to this is MRI. Like I don't have anything, right? So all I know is that an MRI is being done. I think there are people around there that are hopeful for some good news. But in any instance like this, when things happen, there's just a lot of uncertainty until people get the results, until people know what's going on. So I won't fuel any speculation here or there. There's things that I'm hearing behind the scenes, but I'm not quite sure. Steve Henderson. Yeah, and again, I did hear. I haven't heard about no pop or anything to that effect, so that's good. As far as whatever you guys may be hearing, I can only tell you what I've heard. I can only tell you what I've reported. I know it's been the story has been confirmed by the other people who cover the University of Texas. Was obviously 24/7 on 3. I know those reporters over there who do good work. They've confirmed it as well. So right now, guys, we are kind of in a waiting game to see what happens, to see what the results are of this MRI. I was told that CJ Baxter was carted off the field this after the practice, not rather during the practice after the injury occurred. Again, you can't necessarily read a ton into that. You don't necessarily know if that's good news or bad news, right? You don't know that's precautionary or you can do. No one knows until the young man gets the MRI. But Matthew, yes, he was carted off the field. So hopefully that answers your question. But again, we'll have to take a wait and see approach. We'll have to see what happens as relates to it. So all we know is, like, I can tell you this. He has an injury. It's a knee injury. He's not going to practice tomorrow, right? We understand that portion of football, right? No matter what, even if it's a precautionary thing, he's not going to be at practice tomorrow. I'd be shocked if he was at practice at the scrimmage on Saturday. Again, we'll see. Again, it's too young, it's too early, but you want to be careful with a young man, especially when we start talking about knee injuries and making sure you want to make sure he's ready for the season as is concerned. So again, we'll continue to monitor it. We'll continue to see what shakes out and what occurs as relates to young CJ Baxter. For right now, it becomes a Jaden Blue show. We'll see what happens with Jaden Blue going forward, but it becomes a Jaden Blue show at this moment. I tell you, I feel bad for CJ, because obviously he sustains the injury. He's a starter last year. He sustains the injury in last season. That injury paves the way for a guy like a Jonathan Brooks, to come on the scene. And then Brooks all of a sudden has that amazing season that he had. He goes down, and then we see the kind of a combination of a CJ Baxter and, of course, Blue and what he was able to do last year. And of course, we're looking at CJ Baxter and Blue, Jaden Blue, kind of competing in spring, competing in the summer, and then of course competing in the training camp. And then of course this thing happens again with him. And so again, we'll see, we'll wait, we'll see what happens. But that's why I say I feel bad for a guy like CJ Baxter, because it's like you're just hoping, like you just gotta hope, if you're a Longhorn fan, that this is not anything significant. You gotta hope that this is just a bump in the road. You just gotta hope that it's nothing major that's happening with him. You just gotta hope that, okay, he's just gonna be able to get through this. He'll be fine. Like that. That's your hope, right? Tonight, right? You're hoping for good news, whether it's tonight, whether it's tomorrow, whatever those kind of things are. But for right now, if there's a blessing that for the Texas Longhorns, and not necessarily for CJ Baxter, but the good part for Texas is that if Baxter has to miss any portion of time, and again, you got to hope that it's a small portion of time and it's nothing major, right? You're hoping for that. Some people that's communicated things to us this evening as they've talked to different members of our staff. One of the things that they asked, it really, one of our staff members is this: hey, can you just pray for him? Pray for the young man, right? So, that's where we're at as far as he's concerned. But if Jaden Blue has to be the person that steps in and for a little bit of time, we know what Jaden Blue can do. He's obviously came on strong towards the end of last year. He's had a fantastic spring, really winter conditioning, fantastic spring. He's been able to gain some weight, put on some muscle. They're really happy with him, doing great in the summer. And of course, he's been doing great as far as training camp is concerned. You guys may have saw that I put out a video of him I think it was yesterday, of, Jaden Blue. And again, it was, different kind of drill, but him being able to kind of lower the shoulder. But we know how explosive he is. We know what he brings to the table. We know what Jaden Blue has. Past him, we'll have to see what that looks like. There's some good running backs, obviously, that's in the room. I saw Jarrett Gibson running with the third string yesterday. And so if that kind of stays in line, he potentially could be the next man up. But there's also Trey Wisner, who's in there, who we know he's really, really good. We know that Christian Clark is in there. And then we know this whole thing is led by Tashard Choice. And we know that Tashard Choice is a hell of a coach that's able to have everybody ready to go, right? Because at the end of the day, when CJ Baxter went down last year, and then it was time for Jonathan Brooks to come up, he would just end up being the number one running back in the country, right? That happened as far as he was concerned. And then when his injury happened, then all of a sudden we saw the emergence of Jaden Blue. And it's really interesting that we were talking to Jaden Blue tonight after practice, after in media availability. I want to say it was somewhere past like 5:30 or so tonight. So just about 3 hours ago, Jaden Blue does interviews with the media. And he was asked about, hey, what are some of the things that you learned from Bijan Robinson? And he said, the one thing that Bijan Robinson taught me was that you just got to be patient and wait your turn. And he talked about basically being almost, a four-string guy and being patient, waiting his turn, and then being able to see kind of reap the rewards of that. And then he talked about being able to learn from those guys like a Bijan, like a Roshan. We talked to other guys tonight that were talking about a Jaden Blue and saying like, hey, don't let this thing confuse you. Jaden Blue has actually emerged as a leader. Gunnar Helm, I believe, was the one who was talking about it last night. And he said, don't be confused. Jaden Blue's played in some games for us, and we do view him as a leader. He's a vocal guy. People were talking about sharing stories about Jaden Blue. This thing that's happened this week, people have been talking about as relates to him, that apparently you guys may have seen that the team about a week or two ago went out and played pickleball. And apparently Jaden Blue was this guy who was talking all this kind of smack, like how good of a pickleball player he is. Now, I'm not going to make this into like the Shane Michelle ping pong thing. Like, we're not going to do that, right? We're not going to go there, right? Because that didn't end well. Remember that summer of ping pong? Like, everybody was like, "Ain't nobody could beat Shea Buechele on a ping pong table. That's going to lead to success at Texas." And it was a 5-7 season. So I'm not going to go there. But as we get to know Jaden Blue a little bit better and get to know his character, a guy that is incredibly confident, a guy that's very, short of himself. And so they've used this example of, like, they've gone out and played pickleball, and he was a guy that was talking a lot of smack about all he was going to be able to do and how he was going to beat everybody. And apparently he didn't lose a game in pickleball, right? So, but they say it all to say it was more of a team building thing. And they said it all to say that they love this guy. He's a guy that they can rally around. He's a guy that they believe in 100%. He's a guy that NFL scouts are really high on and really believe that he has a lot of upside. And so if Jaden Blue has to be the guy for the next week, whether it's 2 weeks, whether it's till the season gets started, whether it's warming camp with CJ Baxter into Michigan, like whatever the thing is. And again, I can't go that far because we're so close and it just happened, right? So we got to see how this whole thing plays out. What I'm saying is the running back room does have guys like Jaden Blue, like Jarrett Gibson, like Christian Clark, like a Trey Wisner. They have guys in there that I know the staff feels really good about, that I know the team feels really good about, that I know everyone's really confident in. And so now it just becomes this waiting game as far as, okay, what does the MRI look like? And again, if you're joining late, we're waiting. We have to wait for the MRI as relates to CJ Baxter to understand what the fullness and the magnitude of the injury will look like. And again, you knock on wood and you're hoping for good things as relates to CJ Baxter, but also knowing that, hey, if they have to go with Blue, they feel really good and confident about what they had. And it was really interesting because, again, talking to Jaden Blue tonight, he talked about the relationship that he had with CJ Baxter, how they played off each other, how they learned, how they basically have formed this bond with each other, how they've been basically they root for each other. So neither one of them has been looking at it and saying to themselves like, well, you know what, I hope he doesn't eat because I want to eat, or vice versa. Both of them have been saying, hey, as long as we win, we don't care who gets the touches. And when you're at Texas and you're at a program where you can see Bijan and Roshan get drafted, right? It's an easier sell. Like, it's easier sell to your guys. It's an easier sell to say to these guys, hey, no, it doesn't matter who gets one or who gets two. You guys are both going to be in the NFL. Our backups are getting drafted. We've seen this, right? We've seen Roshan Johnson. We've seen him get drafted. Jonathan Brooks was a backup. We saw him he got drafted. And he's the backup to CJ Baxter. We see Keelan Robinson. Keelan Robinson got drafted, right? So we understand, like, it's an easier sell to these guys from a coaching staff perspective to say, look, if you just go buy in, you're going to be okay, especially in this room. So each one of those guys looked at it and said, at the end of the day, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be able to fulfill my dream because I'm here at Texas. I'm here under the Tashard choice. And so I'll just go ahead and fill in and get in where I fit in. But now we'll see what happens as relates to this whole situation. With the whole situation with everything. So listen, I don't have much else new to say. I don't have much else new to report. Here's what I would suggest to you. Stay in tune to orangebloods.com. I'll definitely make sure I have some updates. If I have anything else, I'll put it out there. Maybe I'll put it out on Twitter. Come back tomorrow morning. Check out my show in the morning. It starts at 9:00. And then if I have any updates through the night, I usually get these text messages in the middle of the night. If I have any updates, check back with me in the morning. I hopefully will have some more things that I can talk about, more things I can discuss to keep you updated. Again, just to kind of, for those who are joining us late, nearly 1,200 you guys in the chat, while I understand is not the best time for you guys to be joining it. Hopefully, if you like the channel, subscribe to it, and this is why you'll be able to get everything there. Let me just before I go, I just want to go Let's see if there's any questions is here. Let me just get into there's just some questions here. Real quick. JP Villa 13. He goes, if Baxter's out for a while, who is Blues backup? Weisner or the freshman combo? Um, again, what's a little early. I can tell you Jarrett Gibson was running third team the last time I saw practice, which is yesterday. They have high praise for Gibson. We shall see who ends up being that person. But I think it would be a combo of Weisner or Gibson would be the people who are kind of fighting that one out and battling that one up. Jorge asked me, what's the verdict with CJ? Too early for us to know about that, Jorge. So again, we got to wait. Hopefully, we should know by tomorrow if he's getting an MRI. As of, hold on, guys, let me look. As of 8:04, he hadn't had an MRI. So so as of, if you're watching this later, 30 minutes ago of me doing this, he hadn't had that MRI. So still, you gotta hope again. It's just something small. Like, you just knock on wood that is not anything major. I want to walk off. Matthew, I answered this question. You did ask me earlier, but I was told he was carted off. So there is that. And Nash Talks Texas. How can you do this to me, Anwar? I am so sorry. Definitely not what I want to do. Definitely when I do these shows at the middle of the night, usually I like to do something more fun and lighthearted. But I also got to make sure I guys give you the news. So listen, you guys get back to your evening. I will be working the phone, seeing what I can find out. If I can find out any more information, wanted to make sure I gave you guys an update. Again, make sure you check out Orange Bloods. Check me out on Twitter. You guys see that thing there. And then, of course, check me out tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Central Time, where hopefully I should have some more information. Say a prayer for CJ Baxter, and we shall see what happens. You guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Again, probably not the best way to enjoy your evening, but at least we'll find out a little bit more. Let's not jump to conclusions. Let's just let this thing play out. And again, hope for the best as relates to CJ Baxter.